Did you know that every word you speak matters? Are your conversations making a difference? With a passion for words and a heart for conversation, Teresa Velardi is a self-professed word nerd, best-selling author, BizCat 360 columnist, and publisher. Children's books as well as fiction and nonfiction books are welcomed at WeBe Books Publishing and Book Endeavors, the imprints of her company, Authentic Endeavors Publishing. Whether written or spoken, Teresa strives to encourage and inspire meaningful conversations that make a difference. Here's the host of Conversations That Make a Difference, Teresa Velardi.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Conversations That Make a Difference. I'm Teresa Velardi, and I am so thankful that you're here for another edition of my bi-weekly show. We go live on the first and third Tuesday of the month. Today's the second Tuesday of the month, so this is, I guess, a special edition, okay? Just want to let you know that you can see Conversations That Make a Difference weekly on the replays at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. With the live call-in shows, as I said, on the first and third Tuesday of the month. You can also hear us on your Alexa. You can just ask her to play Dream Vision 7 radio network, and you can see us on YouTube, and all the replays are on my page on dreamvision7.com. So anyone who knows me knows that we usually start off with a prayer. Before I introduce my guests, we're going to do that. So if we can just take a minute. And today, for anyone who's in the United States, this is election day. So if you haven't gotten out and voted, I suggest you do that, just because it's the right thing to do. It doesn't matter what side of the conversation you're on. Just it's our duty to do that. So anyway, let's say a prayer. I start with the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I also want to say that it is by God's grace that we are fabulous, blessed, and highly favored, living in our greatness, using our gifts and talents, making a difference in the lives of others with passion and purpose, and all of God's great universe is conspiring in our favor. And we gratefully say, amen. So today we have a family affair going on here. One anyway. We were going to have two, but unfortunately Nick couldn't make it today. So I'm going to introduce for those of you who are here, and we'll start with Jacki Long. Jacki is a transformational success trainer and coach trained by Jack Canfield. She is a certified Canfield Success Principles trainer, mentored by Sean Smith for over 10 years. Jacki is certified in Neurolinguistic Programming, say that 3 times fast, also known as NLP, and featured trainer for Sean's advanced coaching certification programs. Prior to coaching and training, Jacki spent 20 years in the corporate world, owned and operated a mystery shopper company, that's interesting, and achieved success in direct sales. With over 30 years of leadership, training, and mentoring experience, Jacki customizes programs for clients, helping them to achieve their personal and professional goals. Jacki enjoys traveling and spending time with friends and family. And Jacki can be reached at Coach Jacki, Jacki Long @gmail.com. Welcome to the show, Jacki. Nice to have you here.
Great to be here. Thank you, Teresa.
You're welcome. And we'll also welcome in Sophia. Sophia Long is Jacki's daughter. She graduated from Carmel High School in 2019 with an honors diploma. She has dedicated herself to her passion for activism and equity. This scholar has been through a number of life experiences, that have offered her the opportunity to grow both personally and professionally, including mentorship from the author of The Success Principles, Jack Canfield. Isn't he like the best? I have to say, I love Jack Canfield. She is an undergraduate student studying at Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis, and she will graduate with a bachelor's degree in an individual major with a concentration in women, gender, and sexuality studies, a bachelor's in sociology, and a minor in communication studies in 2023. That's quite an ambitious agenda you have there, Sophia. And you can reach Sophia at sophiaglong@gmail.com. And we welcome in the co-author of The Fourfold Formula for All Things Wellness, Markus Wettstein. He has practiced endocrinology for nearly 30 years. He is a diabetes, metabolic, and stress management specialist. He also works in energy medicine as a licensed well practitioner. He assists clients in improving their health and wellness by measuring their energy field, stress level, health status, and energy reserve via electrophotonic imaging. He lives in Colorado with his wife and has 3 children and enjoys skiing and hiking. And you can reach him at mwettst@gmail.com. We'll let you give you guys contact information later on as we go through the stories. So welcome, Dr. Markus.
Teresa, thank you for having us on the show. Really appreciate it.
I'm excited to have this conversation. I'm a little sad that Nick couldn't make it, but we'll have him in another time. But so all of these authors, the common denominator in this conversation is the fact that everyone has contributed a story to the Fourfold Formula for All Things Wellness. And this is, these are true stories of the heart, spirit, mind, and body. And this came about when Peggy Wilms contacted Dr. Markus. The two of them put their heads together and they put this book together and invited people to join the conversation about all things wellness. Wellness is just not about going to the gym every day. It's got lots of factors, and you can learn all about the wellness wheel, the All Things Wellness Wheel, in this book. It's available on Amazon, so get your copy. This makes a great gift. You know, I have to tell you, I find it very interesting, especially with Jackie and Sophia, that neither of you knew what the other was writing about, or did you? But what you wrote about was the same thing from 2 different perspectives. So Jackie, I'm going to start with you, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, so I actually had decided what I was writing about and didn't know what Sophia was writing about. And then she sent me like her very first draft. And I was like, uh-oh. So I called Peggy and said, what do we do here? And she's like, I think it's great. I think you should do it. It'll be the same story from just 2 different perspectives. And also in the story, we just focused on different things. Like there's so much more. I mean, I actually have a lot more. I didn't take from a book that I had in progress several years ago, but it's the same topic. And I don't know how many pages I've already written. So I really knew the topic I wanted to talk about. And so anyway, that's what happened. Yeah. She said, yeah, we'll run them back to back.
Yeah. So I'm so glad that you did, because I've read them both. I read them both over and over, and I read them both just before we got started here today so that we could have this conversation. I find it really interesting that, you know, let me just read a part of your story first that I really liked. And one of the things that, there are some highlights in here. I found unexpected gifts in the depths of pain. I learned to ask for help. I learned that someone must be willing to receive for someone to give. I learned the meaning of acceptance. I learned that I had to go on, and I learned to engage in life. You know, if you read nothing else, those things, those factors, regardless of any situation, and this was a tragic situation, are helpful to anyone. I mean, I'm like, so give us a recap of what actually this story is about. And then I want to read you something that I found to be extremely, extremely helpful to me. I lost my dad. So I've sit in your shoes, Sophia. I lost my dad a while back. And I also sit in Markus's shoes because I had the same kind of growing up as Markus did, in the same type of environment. So this is going to be an interesting conversation. Jackie, why don't you give us a synopsis of your story?
Sure. Well, so my husband was diagnosed with kidney cancer. My kid's dad, Sophia, and her brother, Alex, they were 8 and 15. And I just really, I mean, it's so hard to put into words in a short period of time what that experience was like. It was a 13-month journey, ending in his death. And so I couldn't do it all. I just couldn't do it all, you know? So that's kind of the approach that I took, was how did I get through it? And then, you know, what did I do? Writing and journaling. And then I wrote a song that just came to me in the middle of the night. And so, and then also be a mom. You know, I had to work. I had to take care of a husband that was life and death, and take care of 2 kids. And I couldn't do it all.
Right. It says here, 24 hours in a day weren't enough. There were no moments to add to my to-do list, much less to do my part in helping to save my husband's life. I paid bills, shopped, laundered, tutored while working full time. I was increasingly the keeper and doer of all things. At least it felt that way. You had to learn how to ask for help. And then people came in to give you a hand and do the things that you were doing outside, doing the shopping, the laundering, the tutored, you know, being the tutor for the children. How difficult was it for you to ask for help? This is me. I do a lot of this stuff on my own. I do everything on my own. And so when somebody asks if they can help me, it's like, how do I let that happen? You know, how do I let go of the control of the things that I take care of?
Mm-hmm. Well, it just gave me a new perspective on what was important. And, you know, as long as the house was clean enough, as long as there was food. I mean, there were days that if I had to put it in the if I had to put it out, get it out of the fridge, put it in the microwave and heat it up, I wouldn't eat. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was like too much effort for me. Mm-hmm. So literally I didn't cook a meal. I don't think this is in the book, but I didn't cook a meal for 6 months. Wow. We had, I don't know how many people, easily a couple hundred or more helping us at some point or more. And asking for it, what I learned then was I wasn't asking for me. I was asking for Dale, and I was my husband, and I was asking for my kids. Right. So that made it easier. Now I'm in a position to ask myself. Oh my gosh, a year now. I just passed my year. I'm a breast cancer survivor. I have not put that on social media. I have not announced that publicly, but I asked for help. Yeah, that's awesome. And well, I'm glad that you are a breast cancer survivor. Let's keep praying that stays as it is. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. You said you learned that someone must be willing to receive for someone else to give. And it says here that you loved having people around you, and you invited friends and family into your lives to help get through that the time when Dale was undergoing his illness. Everyone involved hope
everyone involved hoped and prayed that he would beat this nasty disease. People came out of the woodwork and humbly asked how they could help. Saying yes allowed people to move from helpless to helpful. Sometimes we give the gift of allowing them to step into being the helpful people in our lives when we need help in any given situation. And I learned that myself through both my parents died of cancer. And I had to put myself in a situation where I had to rely on other people because I was out of state where they lived. And so how did that shift things for you personally by allowing that to happen?
Well, I definitely felt relief,
Mhm.
and it did shift. I was always the one to do everything.
Mhm.
And I, come by that honestly from my childhood. Like you couldn't play until the work was done.
Yeah.
And so when you're an adult, the work is never done. And so everything has to be scheduled. And I had to do it. Like I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
In my eyes, I didn't have a choice. I know some people don't ask for help. And I wish more people would, because I am much more comfortable making that meal and delivering it and
Mhm.
feeling that I've helped somebody else
Mhm.
versus asking for me.
Right.
I had to ask somebody to like move at church, and I never would have done that. But Dale needed a place because he was in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can ask for somebody else
Mhm.
easily. It's much harder. So really what I did when I had cancer, I asked a dear friend of mine, Debbie Castano. I have to just say her name because she's just been amazing. And she did all the legwork of letting people know what I needed. So
Mhm.
she did it in my behalf.
Mhm.
And that was hard to ask her to do that.
Mhm.
And she has thanked me repeatedly for giving her that opportunity to help me in that manner.
Mhm.
So, yeah, things have
Yeah.
shifted a lot. I wouldn't have done that when I was 25.
Yeah. No. We had a community. Their support allowed me to direct my energy toward my husband, children, and my paid job and me. Gratitude and appreciation traveled deep into my soul. That touches my heart. That touches my heart. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Read this story. If you have ever had anyone in your life, from two perspectives, because we're going to talk to Sophia in just a minute. If you've ever had anyone in your life who has gone through a situation like this will help anyone reading it, no matter what role you play in the situation, regardless of what it is. So wellness is not just about the body. This is about, I think this touches so many different categories, and you'll find that these categories overlap one another as you read the book. So Jackie, thank you. We'll come back to you in a bit.
Thank you.
Sophia, you're welcome. Sophia, I love how you bring this. The ocean brings you back to me. There are things that you say in here that are just so touching. How old when your dad passed away?
I was 8 when he passed away.
You were 8. And it says in here that about your 8th birthday was where? Let's talk about that, because there's a lot of joy in that situation.
Oh, my 8th birthday was at this water park that no longer exists. And my dad was already wheelchair bound at that point. But all my friends are there, and I just have only pure joyous memories of that day. And even though he was in a wheelchair, the fact that he was able to be there meant a lot to me.
Yeah, yeah. Intellectually, I knew that accepting my dad's death would be just the start of moving forward. There's a lot of steps to becoming whole again once you lose someone, especially a parent or a spouse, as your mom had experienced. And you talked about escapism, and you said by the time you were 15, you suffered a great amount of loss. You had no living grandparents either. So, I mean, I can relate to this as well. My grandparents My grandmother was the longest living. But, no matter what age you are, and I'm sure everyone can agree to this, no matter what age you are, when you lose someone, it's like there's part of them that has been part of your life that gets taken from you. But the memories, the beauty of the other side of that is the memories help to get you through that. Can you share a little bit about your experience with that?
Yeah, it's been hard because I lost my dad when I was so young. Memories have faded over time, and that's been something I've definitely had to grapple with. But I also have an appreciation for the memories that have lasted, the ones that have been important to me, and I might not remember what I was wearing or what, and where exactly we were, but I remember the moments of being with him.
Awesome. So you say that the triathlons, Billy Joel music, beams of sunlight from the sky, watching Survivor reruns, and the gentle lap of ocean water on coastal sand will draw me closer to my dad's energy, which will remain present with those who loved him evermore. How does that make you? And what's your favorite Billy Joel song? Because I'm a huge Billy Joel fan.
Piano Man for sure.
Yeah.
Piano Man for sure.
Absolutely.
And I'm sorry, what was your question before that?
The question was how does you said this brings you closer to your dad's energy that will remain ever present with those who loved him evermore. So I'm going to talk about your experience. Do you have? I'm always curious to ask this, and you can answer this too, Jackie, if you want. Do you have visitations from your dad? Have you ever experienced him in a dream where he feels like he's right there with you?
Yeah, this is something my mom and I actually share. We both get pretty vivid dreams. I see my dad a lot in my dreams, and it's usually a random situation where we're at a vacation home that we spent a lot of time at. But yes, I definitely am visited by him in my dreams and my other loved ones frequently. And I also feel their presence sometimes, depending upon what I'm doing, but maybe I'll flip a page and I'll get some chills or whatever.
Yeah,
I definitely believe in those messages.
Yeah, I do as well. And there was one dream that I had of my dad where he actually walked into the house. I was sitting at the kitchen table with my mom, and we were going through bills. I'll say this before we go to break. We got to go break in a minute. We were going through bills, and there were the final expenses and whatnot. And my father just comes like walking in the door, like he was coming home from a day at work or whatever. Comes walking in the door, and he looked over my mother's shoulder, and these are his exact words. My father was a very frugal man. $293, they ripped you off. And that's exactly what he said. And then it wasn't until about, maybe a couple of weeks later when I brought this up to my mother, she said to me, "How much did you say?" He said. I said, $293. She said, "That is the exact amount of money your father had in his wallet the day that he died." So you can't make this stuff up. I believe that no matter where we are, there is always a presence of our loved ones, regardless how far gone how far the time has passed, that they're always with us. And so we'll talk a little bit about that a little more when we come back, but we do have to go to our first break. So just listen to these messages and we'll be right back.
What if dreams can diagnose your life? What if we can meet the love of our life in dreams? Join host Kat O'Keefe Canavas, the #1 internationally best-selling author of Dreams That Can Save Your Life, written with Duke University medical doctor Larry Burke. Dreaming Healing is where we'll explore dreams, research, and interpret dreams from you, the caller. Dreaming Healing shows can be heard every Tuesday at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern, with live shows on the first and third evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific Time on syndicated Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. Come live your dreams out loud with Kat.
Are miracles real? Can you move from mayhem to miracles? 30 prominent authors say yes as they share their high fives and down lows of challenges, abuse, addiction, and love. Experience hope, the magic elixir of miracles, through the personal stories of New York Times bestselling authors James Redfield, Dr. Bernie Siegel, Sister Jenna, Reverend Temple Hayes, and many more. If you like bestsellers, chaos to clarity, and crappy to happy, you'll love crying and laughing through mayhem to miracles. Sacred Stories of Transformational Hope. Available now on Amazon and in bookstores worldwide.
Did you know that every word you speak matters? What you say and how you say it can make or break a relationship or shift the outcome of any situation. Are your conversations making a difference? Faith in God, gratitude, authenticity, and giving are Teresa Velardi's heart. It's in this spirit that she's focused on making a difference in the lives she's blessed to touch. Conversations That Make a Difference is now on syndicated Dream Vision 7 radio network every Tuesday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern Time, with live call-in shows every first and third Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern.
Omega Institute, offering workshops, retreats, and online learning dedicated to awakening the best in the human spirit. For over 40 years, Omega has seen more than 1 million people come through its doors to grow, learn, and find a greater sense of purpose. With over 350 workshops to choose from, Omega offers something for everyone. Located in Rhinebeck, New York, just 90 miles north of New York City, Omega's natural environment and quiet pace allow for extraordinary experiences to unfold. Learn more at eomega.org or call 877-944-2002. Again, 877-944-2002.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Welcome back. And now we're going to go to continue our conversation on the fourfold formula for all things wellness. We're going to go to Dr. Markus. And if you could speak up a little bit, Dr. Markus, when you are speaking, because we were having a little difficult time with hearing you earlier. So, okay. You grew up in a completely different environment than I did. Your parents are from Germany during World War II. And at that time, everyone their age enrolled in a program called Hitler Youth. And this was a kindergarten used for indoctrination. As a result, my parents' values and knowledge were groomed to reflect Aryan supremacy, the master race, and they were promised 1,000 years of paradise. You know, I have to say, you say something in here, this line I heard in my household many, many times. Kids were supposed to be seen and not heard. Mm-hmm. And what I have to ask you, growing up in a household like that, I know what my experience was, but I'm going to ask you, what's your experience having grown up in that household? And you talk about how when you got hurt, like it's like you don't complain that you're hurt, you just like suck it up and move on or whatever. I know those experiences. So talk to me a little bit about how you grew up and how what you grew up with took you into what you're doing today.
Yeah, so basically growing up in an environment like that felt like you had to be working on making sure that you don't do any missteps, you know? So when you're looking at children and how they grow up these days, or at least I tried with my children to give them the freedom that they have to explore what they can explore. Can't do that as a kid if you always have to keep in mind, walk on eggshells, or, you know, something is going to happen. And if you forget, you will be reminded.
Exactly.
So it's a little bit difficult to have sort of a carefree kind of attitude, and stress was really, as far as I'm concerned, a big developmental handicap back then as a result of all of this type of environment, you know?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, and how that got me, well, I was just lucky in terms of my interests that it pointed in the direction of me, you know, developing something that I felt passionate about. That happened relatively early. I could see that that was sort of a stroke of luck, because a lot of people or kids these days don't seem to have that drive, that motivation, that whatever it is, or the idea of making something of yourself, that type of stuff. That's what got me through that, really, honestly. I just focused on my career, so to say.
Yeah. Yeah. I find it very interesting that you're going from, when I read your bio, when I know this about you, you're crossing the bridge between allopathic medicine and wellness practitioner. So how is what you are doing now with measuring energy fields and stress levels and energy reserve helpful to people today, so that they can get to know a little bit more about this? I think this is important for everyone to know, that it's just not about, things are not always as they seem, and there's always some deeper level or another turn you can take in the road to wellness, right?
Right, absolutely. And the approach is really dependent on the individual, and there is no rubber stamp approach. And through my practice of medicine throughout these years, I realized that and these days the healthcare delivery is sort of rubber stamp a little bit, and so from that perspective, it's difficult with regards to what's going on currently in all of these regards. And so our idea of developing, or using the wellness wheel as a tool for self-assessment, really, that's what from my perspective, we deal with people that are broken, and we try and fix it. And we notice that if you try and keep that up, you don't have the person power or the money to pay for it. And so I think it's very important for us to realize that we are responsible for our own health. And so this is a tool of self-assessment, the wheel that we are trying to promote in this book. And all the stories, they fit into sectors, like, for instance, heart brought both Sophia and Jacki through this, and it is a road that's not traveled by everybody, and lots of people get lost in their grief and depression and everything else. And so from that perspective, it was a life event. We all have life events. How do you approach that? Here is a clear-cut road of resolution that is very productive. I mean, both of you guys are successful human beings, and not caught by the healthcare system because of underlying problems that accumulated because you weren't able to manage to open your heart and get through. And that's why their stories are in the heart section of this book.
Right, exactly. Now, you just said we are responsible for our own wellness. Do you want to talk a little bit about what is coming next? I mean, I know that this book, The Fourfold Formula, gives an overview of the various different types of, gives an overview of the different quadrants of the wellness wheel. And the next one says we are responsible, win the wellness war, and WAR stands for we are responsible. You want to talk a little bit about what you're asking, what people are contributing to that book? They're all the same four quadrants, but maybe touching on different aspects, taking responsibility for their wellness.
Yes. So the first book was sort of an introduction of the fourfold formula and the wellness wheel, and the general idea that if you want to go ahead and have your life be balanced, you're going to have to look at those sectors that are outlined. And all four sectors have 6 subsections, and they all need to be addressed. And if you don't do this from time to time, you probably are going to wind up having a flat wheel at some point in time, can't move on because you have some sort of event stopping you, right? And so the comprehensiveness of the tool is what we are trying to get people to notice. And then the next step here is applying. And applying this wellness wheel is correlatable to a war because we're going to run into troubles along the way of self-discovery, and you can try and self-resolve. You might need some help. It's all up to you as an individual.
Mhm.
It's your own road to discovery of your own balanced wellness is what it's all about.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love that. If there's a problem with one part of the wheel, you get a flat. Can't move. It's true. It's true. But Sophia, I want to go to you, taking off of what Dr. Markus just said. You talked about how one of the ways that you moved forward from the loss of your husband was to get into the work that you're doing now. And you went to Jack Canfield's Train the Trainer. And you talk a bit about that experience. What did that do for you? As somebody before you were a coach and doing the work that you do now, how did that help you to get your life back on track and back in balance after having suffered such a great loss?
So it was my husband, not Sophia's.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's just kind of funny.
Did I say Sophia? See that?
Yeah. I figured out who you were talking to. Look, we'll into it. So Train the Trainer, I went to learn how to help other people.
Mhm.
And through the process, I learned that we have to take care of ourselves and deal with our own junk. We all have junk. I don't care who you are, how you look in the world, what you do. Everybody has got stuff deep inside of us that needs to be healed.
Mm-hmm.
That's my belief anyway. So
totally agree.
So and I learned that firsthand. I talk about that in my book, actually, that I thought I was supposed to be putting stuff out to the world when really what was going on is I needed to deal with me before I could put stuff out to the world. And so that was that ended up being 4 in-person weeks. I don't think they do that anymore, but it was the most amazing, one of the most amazing experiences of my life, beyond childbirth and, marriage and some marriages. So anyway, that's another story.
That's a story for another day. Yes.
Yeah. So thank you for asking. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing, and I would recommend it for anybody. And Sophia's had some experience with the Breakthrough to Success program and a 1-day event. I think we went to, maybe a 2-day. I don't know what it was, but yeah.
So what's your experience, Sophia? I apologize for the mix up of the names. That's what happens, mother and daughter. I used to get called by my mother's name all the time, so I'll forgive me, please. So Sophia, what's your
No worries
with having gone through some of the programs through Jack Canfield? How has that changed you in terms of dealing with the grief, deciding your path in life? What has that done for you?
So the first event I went to was a 2-day event in Chicago. And that was big for me because it was sort of my first step into that arena of self-care. I was only, I think, 15 or 16 at the time, so I was pretty young. And then I was 17 going on 18 when I did BTS, which is a week-long event. And I think that when I was there, I was really stretched. I was stretched beyond what I thought I could do, because we're challenged to create all of these different goals for ourselves in different areas of our lives. And there were people who were saying, I think you can do more, or you're not challenging yourself enough. And they were right. They were totally right. And so it has definitely impacted like the way in which like the information that I have taken in as a student and as a person in the world. And I think it took my pain and made me want to make it into something I can use to help other people. Not necessarily the grief from my dad, but other kinds of pain.
Other kinds of pain as well. So it's interesting that you use that word stretched, because I also have gone through multiple training courses. And one of the last ones that I did probably a few years ago use that term. You can be stretched, and we don't really realize how much we can actually do, how deep we can actually go, how in tune with ourselves we can actually be, and how much we can put onto our proverbial plate and make it all happen. How did what you've done? I know that you said so you can help other people. Is there something specific that you learned in any of these trainings that you've done that has led you directly to how you want to show up in the world as a professional?
Well, I think that when I was there for the BTS event, that my worldview expanded in terms of how I could go about helping people. At that point in my life, I was looking to teach in impoverished areas. And now I'm hoping to find a nonprofit organization that I can work with to help a marginalized group of people in some way. It's pretty different from what I was initially gonna do, but just having that experience and being able to look at myself personally, financially, developmentally, professionally, at all these different areas was really, really useful for me as a young person, because we're not taught that in school. So going to a whole event where I'm taught how to look at myself has really just, it's life-changing.
Yeah, it's kind of like in straight alignment with the wellness wheel, right? All different aspects of yourself. And with that, we need to go to the second break. I can't believe this hour is going by so quickly. So bear with us. We're going to come right back after these messages.
When you think about being healthy and happy, do you consider the 24 areas of your life? Probably not. With the All Things Wellness Wheel, you become self-empowered, allowing you to make healthier decisions about relationships, nutrition, sleep, exercise, stress, and even your value system. The All Things Wellness book series, written by Peggy Wilms and Dr. Markus Wettstein, teaches about the ATW wheel and brings dozens of true and personal stories from real people. The first of these multi-author books, The Fourfold Formula, features the foreword written by the Celestine Prophecy author, James Redfield, and is now available on Amazon. Reserve your spot now to become a published author in Book 2, Win the Wellness War, We Are Responsible. Visit allthingswellness.com/author for more information.
In a world facing annihilation, a miraculous African nun rises to become the first female pope through a web of war, murder, and betrayal. Loved by some, hated by many, she becomes the deadly target of Islamic terrorists and her own cardinals as she introduces a new vision that will either save humanity or accelerate its destruction. 4 people must race against a nuclear holocaust to learn her astonishing secret. Pope Annalisa is available at petercanova.com, Amazon, and other online booksellers and bookstores worldwide.
Did you know that every word you speak matters? What you say and how you say it can make or break a relationship or shift the outcome of any situation. Are your conversations making a difference? Faith in God, gratitude, authenticity, and giving are Teresa Velardi's heart. It's in this spirit that she's focused on making a difference in the lives she's blessed to touch. Conversations That Make a Difference is now on syndicated Dream Vision 7 radio network every Tuesday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern Time, with live call-in shows every first and third Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern.
Why are we here? How can we be happy? Questions asked from millennials to boomers. Crappy to Happy, Sacred Stories of Transformational Joy answers them using true stories of grit, grace, and love. James Redfield, author of The Celestine Prophecy, wrote in the foreword, "This book is a seminar about emerging truths and offers grounded solutions through the art of the comeback." Dr. Bernie Siegel, a contributing author, wrote, "Bodies die, but spirits and consciousness survive and recycle." So grab some tissues, open your book, and prepare to cry and laugh till it heals. Crappy to Happy by Reverend Ariel Patricia and Kathleen O'Keefe Cannabis. Available from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and booksellers worldwide.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Every time I hear that, I take a deep breath. It's just like so cleansing. It's great and good. Dr. Markus, I'm coming back to you over here. I'm reading the very last paragraph of your story. Right before that, there is a statement that says, "To remind the brain to check with the heart is the art of living." And you say, "A balanced heart/mind relationship resulted in a rather uncomplicated and stressless life. So I had to work on taking some of the power of the mind and giving it to the heart. In the beginning, the heart had a very subdued voice. Now it is much easier to recognize that the heart is being neglected. The results are awesome. Even my mind is content with the results and does not fret over the loss of power. The bliss of sharing and community in love is too convincing." So I have to ask you, now I just want to say this. I have been on this journey with Dr. Markus and Peggy and all of these people behind the scenes, because I've been reading the stories as they came in, and I will read the next group of stories as they come in. But I have watched you go from that the person who was very quiet, didn't really have much to say, kind of like more in the background, just busy doing your day-to-day. And out comes this person who is like, okay, this is a great experience. I want to do more of this. And the heart-mind relationship that you describe in this paragraph is so fully evident to me. It's ridiculous.
Nice. Thank you.
It's ridiculous. I want to give you that from my perspective, because like I said, and you're welcome. You have just like transformed before my eyes. And I imagine that a lot of people who contributed to this book have done the same thing. This moment that you talk about on the exhale and the inhale, where you actually hear the heart's voice. Is this anything that has taken you to the place where you have opened up your practice to more holistic ways than just the way that you were practicing medicine before? Is there a connection there?
Well, yes. The hierarchy of events, so to say, holistic medicine has been really poo-pooed by allopathic medicine for the longest period of time. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to a scientific approach of all of this, it was always very difficult. Well, that has changed over the years, and I'm glad that I can say now that as a scientist, I have enough studies and things researched to be able to say that there is a connection on a level that is to be found in our society by more people, because if they all were, and I assume a lot of people were just like me, high-strung, high power, high earner, whatever not, you name it, it was all just pressure everywhere. Time. And then you wonder, where's the flat in my wheel? And, there were plenty of them. And one of them was just a miserable life-work balance. That's basically it, what it came down to. And recognizing this through the steps of, yes, there was holistic medicine after the allopathic medicine. Then I would say new fields have researched into energy medicine and now quantum. And all these things are scientifically capturable and reproducible events that basically indicate to us that, yeah, you better wake up and pay attention to these things, because you'll be left behind. And what we're developing here is basically for people to be able to have a tool to wake up, manage themselves with the wellness wheel, to get to a level, I would say, of waking up to a realm that is in sore need of exploration.
Has this experience of putting this book together through your own delving deep inside, let's say, and through all the stories that have been contributed to this, has this played a part in your attitude towards medicine in general?
Well, yes, absolutely. From the perspective of me practicing medicine, no. I still do exactly what is required and what is regulated and what is right to do for people, and scientifically proven to be the right thing. But there is a new door that has opened.
There you go.
Gives us the opportunity to deliver more healthcare, because I think healthcare has gotten brushed aside a little bit, and you know, talk about that forever. But the point here is that the spiritual aspect of things, the energetic aspect of things, needs to be accounted for in allopathic medicine as well. And I do that these days. I talk to my patients. I have a closed door. There is no need to not be able to talk to people sensibly about developing something in their life that will move their disease in a better trajectory, or maybe resolve it. So lots and lots of new-found, very fantastic new developments that are providing me a lot of joy and less anxieties.
Yeah. It's amazing how when we open our eyes, we see what's around us, right? It's amazing. It's amazing. So I want to ask a question. We have like 9 minutes left, not even. No, 7 minutes left. So I'm going to ask a question that I've asked everybody that I have interviewed on this book. And I wanted to ask Jacki first. Through the experience of being part of this collaboration, is there one word that can describe your experience in this whole thing? I know that before you answer that question, I have to ask you this too, because you alluded to it at the beginning of our conversation and also in your book. I mean, in this book, where are you in terms of writing your own book? Are you moving forward with that? I hope so.
I'm not, actually. I feel like it was more for my healing than anything else. And I have not looked at it in quite some time. I looked at a few pieces of it when I was writing this story, but not today. I'm not saying not never. I'm saying not today.
Awesome. Awesome. So give me one word that described your experience in the first book. And are you going to move forward to the second one?
Sure. One word. Supported.
Awesome. Awesome.
And yes, I am going to be in the second book, and I know what I'm going to write about. I have a lot of notes, so I'm getting close to actually doing something that might be publishable.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you. Supported is your word. Sophia, what's one word to describe your experience in this book? Becoming part of this fourfold formula book. It's hard to grab just one, right?
It is. I wish I had a thesaurus in front of me right now. I'm gonna just go with the first thing that came to my mind, which is intense, but not in a bad way, in a great way. And I also want to say, I'm also going to be on the next book, and my mom and I still haven't talked about what we're writing about yet.
And it'll be interesting to see what happens. It will be interesting to see what happens with this, because I find it really, it's amazing how I was having this conversation with somebody the other day, and we talked about how parents are connected to their children in a way that we can't really explain in words. It's just something, maybe it has to do with the DNA, maybe it has to, I don't know. I'm not going to go into the whole thing about it. First of all, we don't have time. And secondly, I'm not going to ramble. But the bottom line is that it impressed me how the two of you chose the same topic and the same circumstance in your life, which is probably the most profound circumstance that ever happened to you from so many different standpoints. And that you both chose the same thing, wrote about it from different experiences, and allowed each other the opportunity to just fully be present with the things that you had written. And both of your stories are so well written and are so powerful for people who are in any kind of circumstances where they have lost someone or are losing someone, to be able to come through the other side, with something good from the circumstance instead of just feeling the pain all the time. So you ladies are a great asset to this book. So thank you. Okay, so we have supported, we have intense. Dr. Markus, what's your word for your experience for this?
Well, definitely community. So, talking about the fact that, I was one of those very reserved, very, not very open kind of situation, comes out of the fact that you feel alone, and community is the way that broke that. And I'm very grateful for that, because it is a surprising amount of energy that's lost in feeling, or, as an outsider, so to say. And, any kind of negative aspect that we are dwelling in should be discovered and should be removed. For me, it's definitely the sense of being alone. Having that removed opened up a huge new life, really.
Would each one of you say that, and you can just nod your head, writing this, taking the step to open your heart and to write about what each of your respective topics and the way that you approach them, would you say that this has opened up a new door for you in terms of your ability to share who you are, to write more down the line? I know that you're all going to be in the next book. I'm going to be in the next book as well. So I know my experience was when I first told my story that led me into writing. I'd been writing it a long time in journals and whatnot, but I never really thought about telling the story because I was afraid, what if somebody reads it? What if somebody reads it? I think that we are absolutely responsible to take the steps that are necessary in order to be able to help the next person. And you said that, Sophia. And so I just think that this opened up a whole new world for me. Look at I've got a publishing company now. Who would have thought that? So I think that this experience, if you have a story, this is for everyone who's listening. If you have a story that you've come through a situation, maybe the situation wasn't so great, and in the end you're grateful for the whole experience. All of these authors are going to be in a daily gift of gratitude as well, which is going to come out around Thanksgiving, maybe a little bit later than that. We've got a lot of stories, and so I invite you to, they're in this book, they're in Fourfold Formula, We Are Responsible, Win the Wellness War, and then Daily Gift of Gratitude. So I hope that you will all pick up those books in Amazon.com when they all become available. Fourfold Formula is available right now. Get your copy. It makes a great Christmas gift, so get one. And I want to say thank you to all of you for joining me today. And we'll see you again next time. That's it for this edition of Conversations That Make a Difference. Make sure your conversations are making a difference in the lives of those you touch.
Tune in next time for Conversations That Make a Difference with host Teresa Velardi every Tuesday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern, with live call-in shows every first and third Tuesday on syndicated Dream Vision 7 radio network. Thank you for listening, and thank you to our producer Rachel and to our station owner Deborah Beauvais, working behind the scenes. Be sure to go to conversationsthatmakeadifference.com for your free gift. Make sure your conversations make a difference.